Welcome back. I'm glad you're here. Appreciate you spending a day with me in the shop. And get this door open, get the shop open, get this thing started. We got a lot going on. Silverado's about ready to go. Just got to take her for a road test today. Didn't get a chance last night. We got quite a few things to finish up around here, though. Things seem to keep piling up. We got a lot of vehicles out here in the grass in the back of the shop. So we'll see. Everyone will be here in a few minutes. We'll get this thing running and we'll find out exactly what's going to go on for today. But I'm pretty sure we're going to learn something and we'll have some fun. And that's the most important thing, right? If you can learn something and you can have fun every day, that's a good day, right? Stay tuned. 2012 Ford Explorer. Oil change, and customer says, check my AC. So that's what we're doing right now. I got the old thermal imager out. Let me see, it feels like it's working good to me. Not sure why they want to check, if it's just summertime checkup, which there's really no such thing, but some places will tell you there is. The problem is you start putting machines on things, you end up messing with the shraders and the fittings. You could actually cause a problem that isn't there yet. So I'm going to let this thing run a second, see how cold it gets. It feels like it's pretty dang cold to me. The temperature gauge is fluctuating a little bit because it's hard to keep it steady. The cow warning's on, which means give me a second, I'm thinking. It was in the 40s for a second, now it's not. Okay, maybe there is something going on where intermittently it gets a little warmer. Might need some more information on this one. See if it's colder on one side than it is on the other. The fan's blowing at max too. It's on low, which is the coldest setting it can get to. It basically has no temperature cutoff. It'll just blow at max and blow and blow and blow. And it doesn't have a threshold it's trying to reach. If you put it on 70, it'll blow as fast and cold as it can until it gets close to 70, then it'll slow down and try to maintain 70. So basically, if you put your AC on maximum in your house, your AC will basically almost never turn off. Same thing in the car. Works the same way as a thermostat on the wall in your apartment or your house. Anyway, it seems like it's working pretty good, but not fantastic. Let me see if their concern is that it's not very cold sometimes. It's in the 40s if I get up really close, so. All right, let me ask them about that a little more and see if I can get any more information. Need some intel, like Monk I'm investigating. And I gotta do an oil change real quick too. Oh, you guys want a cleanliness rating and everything? Why didn't you say? Oh, by the way, it's 110,102 miles on it. Cleanliness rating is a 6. I'd probably give it a 7 if not for this ugly seat covers. Did I ever tell you guys that seat covers keep the seats in good shape for the next owner? Enjoy your nice seats. Put seat covers on them if they get damaged or destroyed down the road someday. Maybe they're damaged under the seat covers. I didn't think about that. Let's think. Tell me in the comments, do you put seat covers on a nice seat to keep it nice so you can't see it? Or do you put them on a seat that's got some damage and you're trying to cover it? Let's do some oil change prep on this thing. Oh look, the cap's on backwards. I don't know how it was even running. How to make it in the shop with the oil cap upside down. Check the tires with every oil change.
That's just stupid request. You keep saying that, and I'm also want to see that. I know how to sit. No.
That was easy. See how tight this filter is. I think we changed it last. Alright. A little optimistic. I just used the trusty Knipex Ford Explorer oil filter tool. Get the oil drain under it. That helps. Let that percolate a minute. That drain plug gasket, that's not going to cut it. She's a no bueno. Filter action going. She's a little warm. Yes, sir. Yeah. Alrighty. That's good. I took this oil change because the oil change guys were doing an ABS diag and a check engine light diag. So I grabbed the oil change out of the box. See if anyone gets the hint. Some cool old twisties. didn't loosen this one, but I want to make sure it's tight. Got brand new brakes. 6 quarts of absolutely beautiful, fully synthetic. 0, no, I'm just kidding. 520. This one gets 520. It says 530 on the paperwork. It says 520 on the cap, and the cap overrides the paperwork. They always put in what the cap says. If it has the wrong cap, that could be a problem. Make sure it looks to be original and not replacement one or something. Usually replacement ones don't have that on them at all, unless it came from the dealer. And it should be the right one. Every last drop. You can also look up the oil spec if you're not sure. Alright, we got a sweet new sticker ready to go, but I don't like how nasty that windshield looks, so I'm going to clean all the old sticker remnants off. I can't help myself. The other sticker was just stuck over all the lumpy adhesive. We got to at least wipe that down a little. Alright, that'll be the cleanest spot on the windshield now. That's alright. Sometimes I encourage someone to clean the rest of it. But I know the sticker will stay up there. I got to go into the screen here in the menu and reset the oil change reminder as well. Got oil life. Thought it would have been in there, but when I push OK, it changes the deal. Don't worry, I'll figure it out. Can't fool me. Just might take me a few minutes. Alright, should be in settings. Boop. Vehicle. Boop. This might just be to, oh there it is. Oil life reset. Set to 100%. Hold OK. Complete oil life set to 100%. That's what we wanted to see. That's not so complicated. Even I can figure it out. Well, I told the customer it's 48, 49 degrees, probably just a few ounces low. I don't see any leaks. They said, do an evac and recharge, make sure it's full. And I'll put some dye in it, and we'll see what happens if it gets warm again. That's what we're doing now. I'm going to pull a Freon out. It's not terribly accurate when it pulls Freon out, so I'll only get a rough idea of whether it was 3/4 full or half full maybe, but it won't let me know exactly to the ounce. I don't know why this machine's always been like that. It'll charge them accurately, but it won't discharge accurately and tell you how much it pulled out. It just goes by weight, physical weight, at which I guess an ounce of Freon doesn't weigh 1 ounce, because otherwise it'd be accurate, right? It's a joke. It's probably more like a sensor calibration problem. All right, this thing holds 2.35 pounds. I get it charged up and see how cold it is. I'll go ahead and put the Klein thermal imager in there again. All right, in the 40s and dropping. Bring this thing around for the customer. They're ready to go. I got another customer here waiting. You guys might remember I did a tune-up, an induction service, and something else on a Camry last week, and he waited all valve cover gasket, and he waited all day for it. And we ran out of time. It was like I was finishing it at 5 o'clock. He brought it back. I cleaned off the power steering hoses and stuff, and brought it back to recheck for a power steering leak. So that's what we're going to do next. Well, the Toyota Camry customer was very helpful. I gotta get the air conditioning on this thing. We'll go over this car in a second. The Toyota Camry, 2010 Camry, I went ahead and did that real quick for him. He wanted his power steering checked. He said he's never added fluid, so I said you probably don't have much of a leak. I looked at it really quick with him helping me the whole time, so I didn't get to film it, but he gone. Now we're on a 2019 Transit Connect. It's got a check engine light on, 49 miles till empty, and we're going to try to find out why the check engine light's on. This is a 2019. Look at this poor thing. It is a work vehicle, but my goodness gracious. I know it doesn't, I cut a little more slack to commercial vehicles, but this is pretty bad for 2019. It's only 3 or 4 years old. Anyway, what do you see for a love rating? You guys tell me. I can't decide. I'm leaning towards a 3 or so, but I mean, in person it looks worse than it does on the camera viewfinder. I'm sitting in it, so hopefully nothing comes off on my pants. I believe it's a purge valve code. This is the reason they had one of the other guys looking at it for a check engine light. So I did an oil change, and all of a sudden they gave me this car. So it kind of worked. I'm gonna get in here and see it. I believe it's a PO496, he said, so we'll check that out, take a look at that purge valve. The purge valve is up on the engine. Its job is to introduce engine vacuum when the computer wants it into the evap system to dry out the evap canister or do testing or whatever the case may be. And there's also a vent solenoid in the back by the fuel tank. And the computer uses that just for testing. So it'll open the purge, pull a vacuum on the system, close the vent solenoid so the vacuum goes even more, or pressure goes lower. The vacuum would go higher, which is the opposite of pressure, right? Once it sees the fuel tank pressure sensor start to move, then it knows it's got a purge valve that's flowing when it's not supposed to. The computer can't identify which one of those is happening all the time, but it's usually pretty good about that PO496. It's saying I see vacuum on the evap system when I'm not asking for it. So it's pretty accurate, usually a purge valve. Still got to go through the test, right? You don't want to just shotgun parts. So let's get the ECM up here, take a look at some data and see what these codes are. PO49600-E8 evap system high purge flow. Fault previously detected but monitoring is not completed to determine status. So this is saying at this trip it had not determined the status. So what I'm going to do is, real quick, I can bring up some data PIDs, I can bring up the fuel tank pressure sensor, and I can see what it's showing me, but I find it's far easier to go pull the engine cover off on most vehicles and go right to the purge valve and see if it's flowing vacuum when it's not supposed to. You can even unplug the electrical connector if you're not sure if the computer's trying to run it. You unplug the electrical connector, it might set a new code, but no electrical connector, you should have no vacuum, zero. If you feel even the slightest little bit of vacuum, the purge valve is stuck open slightly, and that's a big no-no. That's what sets that code. So let's get under the hood. Well, Ford has gone through the trouble of putting the purge valve all the way in the back, and it gets hot on this fuel line. So I'm gonna reach back here and try to unplug it. I took the little lock out. There's a locking latch you got to take out, and you can squeeze it. And squeeze this little dealio here. Now the other problem with this is the way this is designed. It also leaks vacuum around here, so if you put your finger over here, you might not feel it unless it's really bad. So you have to get like a tube that you can adapt into that or something to give you a better idea if it's flowing vacuum, and it shouldn't be. So let's see if I have a tube for it. Let's see if this little, I kept this for just this kind of thing. I think it fits most of them. It doesn't fit great, but it fits. I'll be able to get a good idea. I can see it's bringing up the purge valve, and I don't want it to. Now I can unplug the electrical connector, or I can go in here to do a test and tell it to turn it off. I think that's what I'll do. Actuation test, purge valve duty cycle. Bring that down to 0. See if it's able to turn it completely off. What do you mean action not supported, you turkey? Alright, I'm gonna try one more time. Let's see what happens. It's gonna make me unplug it, I'm guessing, but we'll see. One last try to see if there's a glitch in the matrix. Maybe because it's running, it doesn't want me to do it, but that's the only way I can really see if it's pulling engine vacuum and not supported. Another thing you can do is put a vacuum pump on it with the engine off and the key off, and it shouldn't let you pull a vacuum. But I don't trust that, because it's a little solenoid valve that opens and closes, and the engine vacuum pulls this way. I'm gonna go unplug it out of here. I wish it wouldn't be all the way in the back like that. Let me fondle this thing for a minute, and we'll come back when I get it off. Alright, I got my little electrical plug off. There's a lock on it, so you gotta put the lock back. Silly. Yeah, there is a little tiny bit of vacuum. I don't know if you can hear that. It's pulling literally like a ½ inch of vacuum if I was going to measure it, but it's not supposed to pull any. It's supposed to be 0. So it's got a bad purge valve, which is kind of what we thought. It's not terribly bad though. It's just it just will hold my thumb on. Don't let this Snap-on truck know where I am. I'm hiding. Oh, I forgot. I didn't bring my wallet today. I left it home. It's safe. It's too funny. Mazda Miata 1999, a true classic. I actually really like these cars. They have racing events for them. Mazda Miata Racing, different classes and stuff. A friend of mine races one of them, or used to. Had a lot of fun doing that. I kind of entertained the idea of getting one myself, but I like older cars, so. There you go. It's here for a radiator. Doesn't seem to want to start too good though. Didn't ask about any of that. Radiator, hoses, and something about a fan was on the paperwork too. It's like 4 or 5 hours labor. I don't think these are very hard to work on. Got a check engine light on. I can't see the mileage. I'll show you guys when we get inside when it's a little safer. Oh, it's on Odo. It's on Trip. We'll get this thing in the shop. Show you guys around it a little bit. It's actually pretty clean. Not very, just pretty. It's probably going to be a 5 on the love rating. And I'll tell you what, it's hot in here right now. Been sitting out in the sun. Ooh, we got some crackers. You guys like crackers? We got some crackers. There's not like there's a weird ass cartoon, Royal Crackers or something like that. I tried watching it just because I like funny stuff like that. Like I like Rick and Morty and Family Guy and American Dad, but it's just a little too weird for me. So what do you guys think? You guys watch that show? You know what I'm talking about on Adult Swim? This thing's got 122,608 miles. Probably don't want to get it too hot. Let's get under the hood, see what kind of catastrophe we got to deal with here. She's a stubby little girl. Let's see what we can do to get it on the lift. It's gonna be a tight squeeze. Oh yeah, these boots, day 4, liking them. As they break in, they get even softer. I got them tied really loose because that's just how I roll. I don't like stuff squeezing my feet too much. Some guys like to have their shoes really tight. I do not. That doesn't look like it's going to be hard to do at all. The radiator is split. I'm going to check to see if the parts are here. Get the coolant draining if whatever's not drained out of it. And we'll get this thing going. This should be quick and easy, I think. It's going to be a good ticket. Should I not have said that yet? You can get burned being too optimistic. Don't do that. Just be optimistic enough, but not overly optimistic. That ought to be good. Well, that's unfortunate. Tried to unplug the fan and it's melted and the connector broke. I already pulled it off of there. I wonder what the other one's going to look like. Ah, that one's in good shape. Good. Just needs one fan and a connector. Oh my goodness. That doesn't smell good. That does not smell good. All I can say is, so I was told to put these parts in there. That's what we're going to do. Sold a thermostat and hoses, but I think that's just like a recommended thing. It needs a fan assembly a lot more than it needs that. Looks like it's got 15s on these hold downs and then 10s to get the fans out. Sometimes the bottom of the fan just goes into like a slide connector dealio. Let's get them unbolted and see if they lift out. Oh yeah, it's bolted. Alright. This one felt like it moved. Oh, this one's not bolted. The other one's bolted in, this one's not. Okay. That's alright. I understand. Sometimes I can't make up my mind either. That's why they sell it twirl with both chocolate and vanilla. When you can't decide. Ooh, that's a cute little radiator. It literally weighs like a pound, maybe 2. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating. I'm just really strong. That don't sound right. Get back here.
Oh, that motor.
I get kind of a hot rod vibe, and I start going a little overboard. I apologize. Oh yeah, this is definite race car stuff. I started cleaning it, it fell in front of the condenser. Then I felt obligated to get it out from in front of the condenser. No problem. Now I'll bolt the condenser back on. Oh, I gotta go tell them about the fan motor too. And I gotta see if any parts are here. Yeah. That thing sure is stuck up in there good. Oh, what is that? Something fell out of the thermostat housing. I can't find out what it is. I'm guessing whatever it was has something to do with brass. So maybe there was something on top of the thermostat before? I don't know. Now I want to go on a hunt for it. It's one of the things this tool is best for. All these little corners and stuff. Super sharp carbon scraper if you haven't seen some of my other videos where I used it. Titan 17010. Super sharp and stays sharp, but it can do some damage if you don't use it right. Barely put pressure on it. I let the sharp edges just take gasket material off. You put little marks in it. You just gotta be careful. If you dig a corner in, it'll dig aluminum out of there. So gotta be careful, but it works great if you're careful. Look at that Murray thermostat. That's kind of strange. A thermostat and a thermostat. I'm not sure how it goes in there, but I'm gonna guess something like that. Maybe there's something in this housing that'll tell me. No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really care. I say we rock it like that. It's one of those cool adhesive gaskets. No silicone on these. You don't do it from the factory, and you shouldn't do it. At least when it comes to that. I don't agree with 100% of that, but when it comes to gaskets, they'll tell you, put sealant in the joints. Don't use sealant. Sometimes you use only RTV or sealant without a gasket at all. This gasket was in there dry. That's how I'm doing it. What do you guys think? Do you put a little silicone on yours? I mean, if it was corroded, I would. But everything's in really good shape inside there, so tell me what you think. So I can start the bolts ahead of time and then just drop them into place very easily. Kind of easily. All right, it's almost there. Trust me. It's gonna happen. All right. Here, just turn the camera off a second. Boom, it goes right in. I don't know what it is. Man, these are tight. Aftermarket hoses are always a little thicker than the OEM hoses. It tells me they're either not made of good rubber or they just use a universal size material no matter what. So the squeeze clamps don't always fit. And you guys know I don't like worm clamps. They're a last resort. They're never as accurate as clamps that can adjust their tension over time. Unless they're super rusty and about to come apart, then the opposite is true. So you definitely don't want that. But I haven't seen a broken squeeze clamp yet. Well, I shouldn't say that. I haven't seen a broken squeeze clamp in a while. But I see broken worm clamps all the time. Let's put it that way. Come on, you. Now I can put the hold downs on. I'm gonna get this out of my bay while they're working on the other fan. I'm gonna try to get. I got a Jeep starter. Customer request. Does not want a diagnosis. The auto parts store told him it's a starter already. So my job as a good mechanic is going to be to give the customer what they want because they're always right. I can need one more fan, but everything else is tucked away good. I can pull this out if I just, I'll just put this on for now. I'll take it back off when the other fan gets here. Because it's got a mass airflow sensor. Old man skin. Anytime I touch my hand against something, rip. What are you gonna do? I didn't even know I did it till I saw red. I'm like, what the heck? Got a cute little Japanese filler neck. Just adorable. This Jeep looks familiar. It's got a bad connection somewhere. Some of you guys might remember this sweet racing Jeep, 2007, 169,067 miles. Check engine lights on. You might remember this one. I think it was a hub bearing or brakes or something on it. I remember a bunch of work was declined, and he asked us if we could pop the door panels on really quick. We told him there was a charge for it. He said never mind. He did it himself. All the door panels were piled up in the seat. It had just been painted when he bought this about 8 or 10 months ago. I remember the vehicle pretty well because of the weird hood that lets rainwater in the engine compartment. He wants a starter. He doesn't want to pay the diag. So do I continue and put the starter in since it has a bad connection? I don't know. I'm thinking about it right now. I don't like to make a customer feel like they're not always right. Let's show you the battery. Alright, I'm thinking I want to fix the connection so that we don't have an angry customer. Look at this, the wire's just shoved in there. Oh, that's not good. That could contribute to a problem. What do you think? It's not supposed to do that. Let's try tightening that up. I'm not even cleaning anything yet. It looks like the terminal's loose on the post too. So we got, this thing's been severely mangled. Oh my goodness. Let me snug this up as well because I see space under that one bolt. Could be a, yeah, there's a washer in there I guess, but that's an 11 or 7/16, so I'll snug those up. And if it works, then I'm going to recommend battery terminals and fixing this mess. I'll show you guys the notes. It says, customer states vehicle will only start when jumped. Customer took vehicle to AutoZone. AutoZone stated battery and alternator are good. Informed customer to replace the starter. Customer has declined diagnostics for a no start. So I snugged those cables up. They were all loose, you guys saw that. I got my voltmeter on the battery so I can see what happens with the voltage if it doesn't crank. Yeah. Oh yeah, she's a fix. Alright. So it needs battery terminals. So now if I put the starter in, I'm a dick. Alright. I'm surprised AutoZone didn't know what they were talking about. I gotta say, generally when you're doing batteries and terminals and stuff, you don't want to stack lock washers and stuff. That's not how you do it. I got some really cool, almost like marine style terminals. This application, everything bolts to a pin. So if some of them are smaller than that, I can just drill it a little bit. Notice it comes with a flat washer, not a lock washer. Lock washers are bad for most electrical applications. Just like they're bad for exhaust. You guys know you work on an exhaust system, you put a lock washer on there, it causes the nuts to loosen up once it rusts a little bit. There's another one. Alright, moving on. Some of these are dirtier than others. So we do a varying degree of wire brushing on each one depending on its dirtiness. Although they were loose on the positive and negative side, it was destined to not work. We still got quite a nest because of the add-on accessories. I can't delete those. I'm not going to refabricate all those harnesses. I just drilled the ones that were too small out. I put the ones that were the flimsiest at the bottom because you don't want the flimsy ones as the ones that the bolt is tightening on. You want them compressed by the bigger cables onto the terminal, right? That's my theory. See how it works for you. But I got my rag here so I could work on everything without everything touching and arcing and stuff. So, oh, you know what we can do too? We were talking about testing voltage drop. People were saying you had to have the circuit loaded. So I said, well, if you're looking for a low amount of voltage drop, that's true. If you're looking for a high amount of voltage drop, it might not be true. Let's see. So I got 12 volts between the post and the battery cable. There's no loads on the circuit. So just so people know, when you do a voltage drop test on a circuit, you have to load it if it's a very low amount of voltage drop you're looking for, intermittence and things like that. If you have an open circuit or super bad connection on a battery terminal, you don't have to have the key on to test it. It probably makes it a little more accurate, but it's not absolutely required all the time. Like I said, depends on the situation. There you go, now it's on. The alarm's on anyway. That was surprising. Alright, now we should be good. It's not much prettier, but it is a little prettier. Maybe I'm a little biased, but let's go see if this thing starts. What do you say? Ooh, it stinks in here. Look at that thing. Hot dog. Nobody likes a bragger. Settle down, Jimmy. Monster trucks. They're great. Oh, maybe I did. I think what it was, he came in with little tires on this. I put spacers and the wheels on it. He bought it and towed it down on a trailer. It didn't fit, so they put the tires on here. That's what it was. I knew it was something to do with hubs and wheels. It's not as beautiful as I might do on my own vehicle, but it'll work. All you really have to do is run these wires down the harnesses and a couple of tie wraps. Everything could be at least shaped the same way, but it works. With the hood closed, it looks perfect. Sometimes these come right off, sometimes they don't. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, 8mm on those too. What we got us is a bolt-in fan motor that comes without the shroud, which is good. I'm gonna make a connector for it. So what I'm actually gonna do is I'll just twist some wires together, make sure it spins the right direction. Once I know it does, I'll put a male and a female, and on the car side I'll put a female and a male, and then we'll be good to go, right? That's the theory anyway. And that's what's going to happen in practice too, as long as this fits from this side, that's all. Perfect. Alright, got bolts and nuts. It's going to be great. This looks like it's going to be about the same height, because the motor shaft sticks out a little further. The case is lower, but the motor shaft will be in the same place. So it comes with spacers. I'm just wondering if I should be trying to use them, but I don't think so. I think it's going to go good without them. We're going to put this electrical wiring facing the top or close to it. Bolt our hardware in, and then I think what I'll probably do is screw from this side, put the nut on the other side. They're locking nuts too, so I was nervous about that, wondering if I should put thread lock on it as I was putting these in. Now that I see they're locking nuts, no need. I could put the spacer on there, but it doesn't really fit right. I don't like that sloppy look. I'd rather have the nut down a little bit on the bolt so the bolt sticks out a little. That's alright. We'll get this bolted up, we'll stick it in the car. Just going to use a little quarter drive action on the other side with a socket so it fits down the recess. Probably should not use a swivel. Be a little better, but it's alright. Yeah, it's a little crooked. That means it's hitting the housing. I got to loosen all the bolts and shift it down a little bit. Oh! Stay with me now. I definitely don't want the fan blade spinning crooked. Shouldn't take much. That's what the spacers are probably for. Yep, that's what I'm guessing. The spacers are too big for the bolts, but the ears bend on the motor if you don't put them in there. For anyone who's wondering, there was no instructions in the box. And this is basically a universal direct fit, if that makes sense. And what I'll probably do is sneak a spacer into here before taking it all the way out. At least you can't see that the spacer doesn't fit the bolts correctly. Be careful holding these blades. If this thing spins, you got problems, but use a gun that's not crazy powerful and you're good. Now, make sure this thing, okay, it looks like it'll clear. It's sunk in here about 1/4 of an inch, so we'll be good on the radiator. I don't know if I'll get this thing done tonight, but we'll get it installed anyway. Might have to figure out wiring tomorrow, but we'll see. Plenty of wire. Let's see if I can jiggle it and get it in the hole. This electrical connector is fried to a crisp, so you think a safe guess would be yellow to orange and black to black? Might be. You never know. I have seen plenty of cars where the black is the power. So all we're really worried about is which way the motor spins. So I can cut this off and I'll just twist them together and we'll see how that goes. I just twisted these together for now. We're gonna have to run this thing tomorrow. Maybe I'll find the fan relay and turn the fan relay on or bypass it. Make the fan run real quick instead of getting it hot. But it got me looking at this Isuzu NPR, apparently it overheats. So I'm checking it for a coolant leak real quick, but we're basically closing up for the day. So that's where we're going to end today's video. So I appreciate you guys spending the day with me. I hope you enjoyed it. I had fun. It was a good day. So anytime you make some good hours, get a lot of cars fixed, it's a win. Thanks guys. I'll see you in the next video. You're awesome.